Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Today we are talking fence chargers. I had a comment on one of my videos that asked about how I wired up my fence charger in a specific way, in a specific location, to let us know from our back window of our house that it was always on. So we have this. I'm going to show you all that today. I'm going to show you where the power comes from, how we wired it in, and all the things that I'm going to talk about, and the quality and what brand I even think you should buy. That's all coming up in this video. And McKenna Hicks, this is for you. Thanks for the comment. All right, to get started, so our power comes from our transformer, obviously, at this power line. It goes underneath the ground, underneath our lean-to here, into what I'm gonna call this power tower. And so you have your meter base, and then I have two sub panels, one for each building. So to start, this is where my power is coming from my charger. It will come from whatever breaker panel in whatever building you have. I like these towers, not specifically for a house. I think next to a house, when people have these, it kind of looks trashy. Some people can do them and make them look nice, but this one specifically doesn't look that nice. The other thing I would change about this power tower is I would not make it out of wood. The metal, the conduit, the wiring is all gonna outlast this wood. At least it's underneath the lean-to now. But if I had this to do over again, I would buy 4-inch galvanized pipe with a cap on it, sink that into my concrete, and then use a rail system to hang all this on. So if you're gonna do a power tower, that's the way I recommend you do it first. But either way, for your fence charger, you're looking for where does the power come from. I like this setup for a farm because at any time, I don't have to break walls, I don't have to tap into a barn. I can pull power from this conduit underneath the ground and get to a brand new barn or brand new building or whatever I want to do. So this is a good setup. And so this is where my power comes from. It goes underneath ground over to this little shack, I'm going to call it, where my fence charger is located. Let's go over there. So I'm out here kind of in the middle of the field, and sorry for the wind, but this little shack is where our fence charger is. And you can see these wires. I have a cable stretched across to my fence, and this fence is hot, and all the farm ties into this one line. I also have a lower line on my fence that has a 25-foot span from one end to the next with a ground driver, a ground cable on each end of that, as well as another ground cable at the base of my building. And so one thing I will tell you, when you are building or putting in a fence charger, follow the directions, but the more ground cables you have, the more ground stakes that you have, the better your fence charger will go. This little shack is right off of our main pad to our whole farm, okay? And so what happens is we drive past this, and right there is basically the entrance to our pasture with the gator to anywhere we want to go. There's a fence line all the way around our property. So there's this lane, essentially 25 feet, and it goes all the way around our property. We can get in any paddock at any time, but we have to come past this first. So this is very convenient for us. We stop here in the gator, we turn the power off to the fence, we go out and do what we got to do, come back by, we turn it back on. So first I'm going to show you how I wired it. You know where the power comes from now. You know where this is located. You don't have to do this for you. This was already here. The power was on a pole, and I thought this is a good idea. You can do this on the inside or the exterior of any barn that you have, wherever you're going to hook up your charger. So power comes in through the conduit, like I said, comes up to a switch. And so this is a external switch, waterproof cover. There's an actual switch underneath here, but this cover is designed to protect from water. It then goes from the switch to an outlet that also has a light tied to it. You can do this in a couple different ways. You could have switch, then a bulb holder that had a light, and then out of the bulb holder into your outlet, or you could tie an outlet or a light bulb, right into your outlet. Either way, what happens is when I turn the switch on, the light bulb comes on, letting me know that my fence charger is now hot because this light bulb is on. going to keep it off right now. So from the house, which is right up there, I can see this, and I put a blue light bulb in so it catches my eye. So I can look out the back window, and we have a pole light right here. So if it was yellow, I was afraid that it would blend in with the other lights, but this blue light shines bright, and I can see that, hey, the blue glow is out there. I know my fence charger is on. Up here to get out of the wind. The one thing this will not tell me, that light indicator only tells me power. It will not tell me the joule voltage it's kicking, and it won't even tell me if something went wrong with my charger. So I still have to check it from time to time. I still look at the numbers. I still want to drive by and hear it clicking. But every time I turn that light off, when we're going out to the pasture every day, I look at that ahead of time. And when I flip it back on, I see if it's reading. So if I was going to do this differently, if let's say I have my charger or you have your charger inside of a barn, it's protected from weather. I like it that way, but you want it someplace that you're going to walk past frequently, either the entryway to maybe your farm store or a feed room or whatever that would be. So let's just say, for sake, we mount it on this wall. It's inside of a barn that we walk past this area a lot. I would do it the same exact way. I would come into a light switch that would be right here, but my light bulb would be facing out. I would mount it on the outside of the building where I could see it from my residence or wherever I would be, from the driveway perhaps. And then the power would come back into an outlet, and then that's where my charger would plug into. So this is a way to make sure that I know that my charger has power. But I want to be clear, it does not tell me that my fence is kicking at the correct voltage. The other thing it doesn't tell me is it doesn't tell me if my kids use the remote and turned the fence off out in the field. So I'm going to show you my fence charger and recommend a brand here in a minute. I love this brand, one, because it's just been super hot and super high quality, but two, it has this nice remote. So if I forget to switch it off here, I have this remote in my Gator. We drive out there, or maybe I didn't need to switch it off. I was going out for something else and I noticed a problem. I can then turn it off from out in the pasture with the remote and then turn it back on when the job's done, or maybe I'm through a spring gate or something like that. If I leave it off with the remote, that light will be a wrong indicator. It'll be a counter indicator. So the charger is not on because I shut it off with the remote, but the light is still on because the charger has power. So you have to be careful. It does not alleviate anything, but it does tell you if your charger has power from the outlet. So what fence charger do I recommend? I don't think it's going to be hard for you to tell. I've been through several different fence chargers. This is a SpeedRite, also made by StaFix. So StaFix. If you Google that or Google SpeedRite, they're going to send you to the same company. It's the same company. The SpeedRites are red, the StaFixes are green, but they are both very good systems. The other thing that you need to know with a fence charger is how big do you go? And so this is the 6000i from SpeedRite. It has a few features that I really like. One, it definitely has a lot of good room here to connect. These nuts go on very well. It also has a grounding system that tells me if I have ground faults. So I like that system, which is what I've tied into over there. So there's a lot of features on here I really like, especially the remote. But it kicks very hard because of the size. So the size is what is determining the power and the length of fence I can have. I will tell you, I'm on 30 acres with this 6000i that I believe was rated for 60 acres. My farm has about twice the fence that any farm really needs. With these lanes all the way around it, we have paddock fences built off. There's several pastures that are in woods. So the fence line will go through the woods and then fence in again. So the woods are separated from the other pastures. There's quite a bit more fence here than a typical 30-acre farm. This fence charger currently set up on my 30 acres, which is probably more like a 45 to 60 acre farm with the amount of fence that I have, footage and lengthwise, and the amount of hot runs that I have. Sometimes I have fence that has 3 hot runs on it. So This fence charger, really, I could have went up. I could have went to a 9,000i, which is probably what I would recommend to somebody on this amount of land. So the lesson here for you is buy a size bigger, or perhaps 2 sizes bigger. Buy for growth. I'm satisfied with this. Currently, I'm hitting somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5 consistently. There are certain times of the years where I'll hit 7. That's 7,000 volts out in my tester. But I do have one other thing that most people won't have, and that is I have power lines. A major power line runs across my property, and I have been told and I have witnessed that the electric fence will pick up residual electricity from those power lines. So your results may vary with this 6,000i. That's what I'm telling you. I have a little bit more power than you may have because of that residual electricity. Ultimately, this StayFix brand or SpeedRite brand is what I'm going to recommend, and I will tell you on YouTube, they have a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos on their websites of how to install. There's a lot of videos of sizing. This has been a very good system. I did not recognize how much the remote was going to be useful until I got it. I didn't know what it was like power windows in a car. Once you have them, cranking them just sucks. So now that I have this remote, I don't know that I can ever go back to a cheap TSC brand charger. So I will tell you that these chargers from StayFix, I've had a Gallagher one as well that was pretty good. They will shock considerably harder than something that I get at TSC. The joule level on the standard ones that you see are typically much, much lower. And so you'll get that 0.08 or 0.06 from something from TSC, and you're shocking 10 times harder on this system as far as the joule rating. So it keeps cows off, it's hot, it keeps animals away, and they don't test it. It also works very well when I tie my poly wire into it. And that's where I think a lighter version may fail you. It may be hot enough at your fence line to protect everything and to keep animals off of it, but will it travel through your poly wire and travel and kick hard enough to keep them in the paddocks? And that's really the test of a good charger. You need to prepare if you're gonna do daily moves like we do, or if you're gonna do any kind of paddock moving and use any kind of temporary fencing, you're adding a considerable amount of feet to your fence system. So it's not just enough to run your farm. When you size this thing, you need to go at least double that to prepare for all these paddocks that you're gonna put in if you're gonna plan on leaving temporary paddocks set up for quite a while. You also have to kind of plan and think for that in your measurement. Well, there you have it. This was a nifty idea. It works really well for us. May not be perfect for you. I do like the light idea. I don't think I'll ever go back from that again. It was super cheap to do. Why not have it? It tells us what's on. It's a constant reminder for us. So, and I would recommend kind of my number 2 thing would be put it someplace that you walk past a lot. That's another thing. Don't get it out close to the cows. Put it where you're gonna be at most of the time. If you have to walk into a barn to get your gator or your tractor or whatever, that's where I'd put it. Even if you have to run underground cable to get back to your fence, put it someplace that you have to walk by a lot. That is the best recommendation on fence chargers that I can give you. McKenna, I hope that helps you. I hope that helps you understand what I've done and how I see it. And for everybody else watching, I hope it helps you as well. Those chargers are great. There's lots of different videos, and it's freezing cold right now, or I would go into some different fencing and how to put it up videos. That will be coming this spring and summer. I will go through and show you. We have done a lot of fence testing here on this farm as far as different ways to put our tie-ins in, different ways to put our gate posts, different styles of wire, different spacings on wire. There's a lot of different stuff here because it's built by 3 different farmers. And I had a way that I like to do it, and they built stuff a different way here. And I'll show you the pros and cons of each different method. I also had a fence rep talk me into doing some of this in a different manner, and I don't really prefer his method, but this is what they recommended. So you're gonna get to see all these different methods of fencing on this farm. I'll eventually get those videos done when it gets warmer and the grass is green and we're out moving through. I do have some fencing videos, some very early fencing videos from the very first farm right before we moved to here, back in my channel if you want to go back and look at how we built fence. There's also videos of putting in spring gates and different things and what I recommend and how to tie stuff. So there are multiple videos already, but I'm gonna go specifically into a series this summer of building fence and setting up a farm and what I recommend on starting a homestead or starting a farm on fencing. I'll get all that done this summer, but please continue to comment, ask questions, like and subscribe, all those things. Thank you so much for watching.